Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today, I'm going to make some ice-dyed spirals. I had an order for 3 ice-dyed blue spiral shirts, so this is what I came up with. I've prepped the shirts the way I normally do by soaking them in a soda ash solution for 20 to 30 minutes, then I wrung them out of my Panda spin dryer so they're just barely damp. I've also turned them inside out, and I do this to avoid any speckling that can happen when some of the dye doesn't dissolve properly. I'm spiraling the shirts like normal, and then I'm going to hold the folds in place with some rubber bands. I set the shirts aside for a couple of days while I was finishing up some other projects, so they're completely dry. However, the shirts don't have to be completely dry. You can go ahead and do this design with a damp shirt. I'm going to ice dye these shirts, so I've placed them on a rack, and I need to make an ice barrier around them to hold the ice and the dye in place. To do that, I'm going to use some silicone cake molds. I'm connecting the silicone cake molds and placing them around the shirts. I have a link down below in the description for this video for where I purchased the cake molds. I also list the dye colors that I've used on this shirt and links to several of the other items that I use when I tie-dye. For reference, the shirt on the far left is a medium, the one in the middle is a large, and the one on the far right is an extra large. Before I begin applying the dye, I'm going to use a washable marker and divide each spiral into 3 sections. Right on the lines for those sections, I'm going to apply indigo from Custom Colors. I'm going to try to go light on the indigo when I apply the dye to the center portion of the spiral. I don't want the very middle of the spirals to be too dark and muddy. The next color that I'm going to use on the shirts is Sapphire Blue from Pro Chemical and Dye. Next, I'm using Sky Blue from Grateful Dyes. And in the final section, I'm adding Royal Blue from Custom Colors. Now I'm going to add a little bit of additional soda ash over the top of all of the dye, just to make sure that when the ice melts and runs through the shirt, I still have plenty of soda ash left to react with the dye. Then I'm going to put the ice on top and set the shirts aside and allow the ice to melt. After the first layer of ice melted, there was still quite a bit of undissolved dye left sitting on top of the shirts, so I went ahead and added a second layer of ice and allowed it to melt as well. I checked the back side of the shirts and the dye had come through to the back, so I just went ahead and left the shirts alone and allowed them to process for about 24 to 36 hours before I began rinsing them. I rinsed the shirts in cold water to rinse out the soda ash, and then gradually warmed the water up to hot to rinse out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the shirts. I was having a little bit of trouble with the blue continuing to bleed out of the shirts, so I just ran some hot water in my sink, added a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent, and put the shirts into the water to allow them to soak. I let the shirts soak until the water cooled off, and then changed out the water and continued this process until the water was almost clear. For this batch of shirts, it took almost 24 hours before the water turned almost clear. I put the shirts into my washing machine, along with a little bit of Dharma's textile detergent, and I washed them in a hot water cycle. And then after the shirts were washed and dried, this is how they turned out. Okay, so what do you guys think about the shirts? Here they are individually. I of course love all the blue colors together. I think they work really well. And I like the dark indigo in the shirts. If you're wondering about the purple and kind of pink color that's in the shirts, that came out of the sapphire blue. The medium and the large shirt are both a ring spun cotton shirt, and they're both a Port & Company brand. The extra large shirt is a Gildan Ultra Cotton shirt. There's not a lot of difference in the two fabrics in the way that they took the dye. I do think that the Gildan may be just a little bit darker and just a little bit brighter in color, but you would never notice that if you didn't have all three of them up next to each other. So overall, I really like the shirts and I think they turned out looking really pretty. But drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.